Story 1. I went to a rave in an abandoned factory. It burned down, and I saw something terrifying in the fire. So my friend Liam hits me up, says he scored us tickets to one of those underground raves, you know, the ones held in places like abandoned sewers, tunnels, warehouses. This one was set in an old, crumbling textile factory near the edge of the city. Sketchy? Yeah. But surprisingly, these events actually have a decent amount of funding behind them. The organizers somehow managed to turn these death traps into venues that feel, mostly safe. Just enough structure and lighting to feel like a secret, not a lawsuit waiting to happen. I'd always thought these things were a little overrated. Kinda try hard. But I had nothing better going on that night, so I figured, screw it. Why not? We showed up just after midnight, and honestly, it was a blast. Total chaos. Great music, better energy. I was drunk. Very high. Stumbling around with a stupid grin plastered on my face. Around 2 a.m., I ended up in the bathroom, sitting on the toilet, scrolling through Instagram reels when it happened. Screaming. Not party screaming. Not fun screaming. Real panic. A second later, I smelled it, smoke. Thick. Acidic. My brain sobered up real fast. I shoved my phone into my pocket and ran out into pure bedlam. A wall of bodies pressing and shoving in every direction. Smoke rolling through the air, stinging my eyes. Couldn't see anything clearly. Couldn't hear anything besides shouting and footsteps and someone yelling, "Fire." I tried finding the exit, but I kept getting spun around. People slammed into me. I tripped, got shoved to the floor. Ended up crawling until the crowd thinned enough for me to stand again. That's when I saw it. I'd ended up right in front of the makeshift stage, now fully engulfed in flames. And standing in the middle of that inferno, was someone. Not running. Not screaming. Just standing there. A guy. Mid-20s maybe. Thin, pale, dark messy hair, and these wide, bulging eyes. He was wearing jeans and a t-shirt, totally casual. No protective gear. No signs of pain or panic. And he was holding a black camcorder. Pointed straight at me. He didn't move. Didn't flinch. Just calmly filmed as the fire raged around him. His clothes weren't even burning. It didn't make sense. I stared at him for maybe 3-4 seconds. Long enough to feel the heat clawing at my skin. Long enough to understand, this was wrong. Really wrong. Then I turned and ran. I barely remember how I got out. Just flashes, flames, smoke, more screaming, hands shoving me forward. Next thing I knew, I was on the grass outside, coughing like crazy, vision blurry with tears and soot. People were gathered around me, asking if I was okay. I wasn't. Not even close. I passed out a few minutes later. Woke up in an ambulance. There was an EMT leaning over me, and Liam sitting nearby. He looked relieved for about a second, then pissed. "Dude," he said. "Glad you're alright, but seriously, what the hell were you doing?" "What?" I mumbled. "What are you talking about?" "You were in there forever," he said. "Did you trip and fall? Twist your ankle?" I blinked at him. "No, I just got caught in the crowd." He shook his head. "That's not possible." "What? Why not? You were the last one out." "The last one? Even the DJ made it out before you." That didn't make any sense. I could have sworn. "What were you doing in there?" he asked again. I shrugged. Maybe I fell. Hit my head. That was all I could offer. By the time we got to the hospital, I felt clear-headed enough to refuse treatment. My insurance wouldn't cover it anyway, and my lungs, though sore, were functional. But that was only the beginning. For the first few nights after the factory incident, the paranoia was overwhelming. My mind kept spiraling into these awful, intrusive thoughts. what if that guy knew where I lived? What if he followed me home? What if he was already here, hiding in my apartment, recording me through a crack in the closet door? It was exhausting. Like living on the edge of a breakdown. Sleep didn't come easy. And when it did, it was brutal. Nightmares so vivid and grotesque, waking up from them felt like a blessing. Just opening my eyes was a relief. I started smoking before bed. Drinking too. Probably not the healthiest option, but I needed something to dull the edge before I lost it completely. And for a little while, it helped. The fear didn't vanish, but it softened. I started sleeping in short bursts, not great but manageable. After a week or so, the nightmares even became less frequent. Still smoked though, couldn't shake that part. Another week went by and I was almost starting to believe it was behind me. Just a bad night. A hallucination, maybe. Some kind of panic response to the smoke and the chaos. I almost died, but I didn't. I was alive. It was over. Time to move on. And maybe I would have. If I hadn't met Cindy. She was a complete stranger. I'd never seen her in my life. That's why it caught me off guard when this tall brunette, model type, toned and composed, sat down next to me on a park bench while I was zoning out and sipping my Americano. She looked nervous. No, more than that. She looked afraid. "You don't remember me, do you?" she asked gently. I blinked. No. Should I? Where would we have met? She let out this slow sigh, like my answer confirmed something she didn't want to hear. "The factory," she said. Everything inside me locked up. That word, factory, hit me like a punch to the chest. It brought everything rushing back. I stared at her. No clue what to say. But she just sat there, waiting patiently, so I forced out a reply. "You mean the rave?" "Yeah, I was there." "Crazy night." She nodded slowly. "Are you okay talking about it? After what happened to you?" I wasn't. Not even close. But I didn't want to admit that. "Sure, I lied." "What do you mean, though? What happened to me?" She hesitated. Then said, "I tried to pull you out that night. While everyone else was running, you were just kneeling there. In front of the stage. Not moving. Not even blinking." I froze. "You were staring into the fire," she continued. "It was like you were in a trance. I grabbed you, tried to drag you out. But you wouldn't budge. It felt like you were anchored to the floor. Honestly, it freaked me out." I swallowed. How long was I like that? I don't know. Maybe 30 seconds. I didn't stick around too long, sorry. "And, what was I looking at?" I asked. She looked confused. "What?" "In the fire," I said. "What was I staring at?" She shook her head. "I don't know. I couldn't look directly. The flames were burning my eyes." We both went quiet. I was trying to process it all. She just watched me. After a while, she leaned forward. "Are you sure you're okay? Were you hurt?" "Not really," I said. I looked down, then felt her hand rest gently on my leg. "It's a relief to see you," she said softly. I looked up, and realized her face was much closer now. "That you made it out," she added. "That you're still here." I tried to smile, but my voice cracked a little. Yeah. Yeah, I guess." She laughed. I laughed too. The tension eased just a little. Then she invited me over to her place later that evening. Said she'd buy dinner, DoorDash or something. I agreed, of course. Because even if there had been red flags, I couldn't see them. So I go home, take a shower, brush my teeth, do what's necessary to give myself a fighting chance. Not that I was really expecting anything. I just assumed that she felt guilty about it all. And I'm also not one to pass up a free meal. I get over there at around 7 and she invites me in with this huge smile on her face, and I can see 2 large, greasy boxes of fried chicken on the counter. We hug, she grabs a couple of beers out of her fridge, and then we take all the food and drink over to the couch. We start watching Dune Part 2, but I'm hardly paying attention to it. Too many other things on my mind. We finish Dune and then, to my surprise, she pulls out a VHS. "You like horror movies?" she asks me. Generally speaking, I do. But I still wasn't far removed enough from the incident to be terribly excited about the prospect of watching one. Which of course I didn't mention to her. I just nodded. "Yeah, I love them." She stood up and then walked over to the television and then reached behind it and pulled out a VCR. The thing looked seriously old and, from what I could tell, didn't have any indication of a brand on it at all. She blew a thick layer of dust off the top and then went about setting it up. She grabbed the VHS and slid it in before sitting back on the couch, resting her head on my shoulder. In any other situation, I would have been thrilled. But right then and there I couldn't be. The mood had shifted in a way that I really didn't like, and couldn't explain. The television turned on, staying on a black screen for the better part of a minute before plain white text flashed across it. Part 1. The opening scene was just a shot of an empty field at night. Some trees to the left, what looked like an abandoned farmhouse in the distance. And it went on for an insane amount of time. 10, maybe 15 minutes of this one static shot. It could have been a photo if not for the wind occasionally moving the grass and leaves. I made a comment about how strange it was. Cindy didn't respond. Finally, it cut to another scene. It looked like found footage of someone walking through a dark forest. But unlike most found footage films, you couldn't hear the breathing of whoever held the camera. They kept walking for about 10 minutes, until the trees and undergrowth cleared. The camera focused on a building. A factory. The factory. I didn't react at first. I mean, it couldn't be the same one. Right? How could it have been? Then everything around me started to feel more real. Every sound in the apartment, the feel of Cindy's hand on my arm, shadows shifting in the corners of the room. The person holding the camera moved closer, entered the building, and approached the stage. Then they started pouring gasoline. And that's when I couldn't take it anymore. I pulled away from Cindy and jumped off the couch. "What are you showing me?" I asked. She had this look on her face like she was impressed it took me so long to react. "What do you mean?" she said, her voice laced with something mocking. "I thought you liked horror movies. Where did you get this tape?" She just smiled. Shook her head. "I've always had it," she said lightly. "It's mine." "What does that even mean?" Her face shifted. The smile vanished. Her tone went cold. "Sit back down," she said. "Your scene's coming up soon." "Yeah, no. Absolutely not." I turned and bolted for the door, then down the hallway, down the stairs, and all the way back to my own building. Caught my breath in the elevator, then checked to see that my front door was still locked, because now the paranoia was creeping into every part of my brain. I cracked open a beer and started pacing around the living room. There was no way that had just happened, I kept telling myself. But this wasn't a dream. I wasn't asleep. Or at least, how could I really be sure? Dreams feel real in the moment, don't they? Then I remembered the time trick, checked my phone. 11 p.m. I was aware. I wasn't dreaming. I started thinking, should I call the cops? But what if they thought I was out of my mind? What exactly was I supposed to say? I opened another beer from the fridge. Took a sip. Tried to slow my breathing. Gather my thoughts. That tape, it was evidence. Whatever it was, Cindy had something that shouldn't exist. I've got a friend, Jack, he's a cop. So I called him. Told him what happened. Gave him the address Cindy had written down for me. He said he'd treat it as an anonymous tip, check it out, and get back to me with what he found. That made me feel a little better. I crawled into bed, put on some random videos on my phone, and finally passed out. When I woke up, the sun was already out. I was sweating through my sheets, eyes darting around the room, searching for something. Maybe just shadows. A nightmare, I figured. Something awful I thankfully couldn't remember. I grabbed my phone. Missed call. Text from Jack. That address you gave me doesn't exist. You sure you got the right one? I texted back, maybe not. Which one did you check? He replied a few minutes later. I traced the address in his message, it was the one Cindy gave me. Exactly the same. Then I called Jack. I don't know what to tell you, man, he said. That address isn't real. There are a few similar ones, but they're in other countries. I have no idea where you ended up. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So I checked it myself. He was right. Nowhere close. Nothing like it on any map. Then I tried to remember how I'd even gotten there the night before. And I couldn't. I mean really, I couldn't. Not the directions. Not the walk. Not even leaving my apartment. I told Jack I'd call him later and hung up. There's only one explanation left for this. I'm losing my mind. Maybe I inhaled too much smoke in the fire. Maybe I've been hallucinating ever since. Maybe Cindy wasn't real. Maybe that guy with the camera wasn't real. Maybe none of it was. At least, that's what I'm hoping. So I looked up psychiatrists in my area. Found one with decent reviews. Booked a consultation. I'm headed there later today. I'll give an update when I can. Hopefully, it'll be good news. Story 2. Every night at exactly 3 a.m., I hear a voice asking me to open the door. I haven't told anyone this. Not my family. Not my friends. I don't even know why I'm saying it now, maybe I just need someone to believe me. Or at least to read this, before it happens again. It's been 1 year since my younger brother Elias passed away. He was 3 years younger than me, but always seemed older, calm, thoughtful, grounded. While I was the loud one who pushed boundaries, Elias was the kind who'd sit in silence with a book and smile for no reason at all. His illness came quickly. The doctors were honest about it. They said we had a few months. In the end, we barely had 8 weeks. I stayed by his side. Helped him eat. Held his hand. Told him dumb jokes just to see him smile. In those final hours, when he was barely able to speak, he looked at me, not with fear, not with sadness. Just, something deeper. Like he knew. Don't stay alone, he whispered. Those were his last words. And then, everything stopped. I didn't cry right away. I don't think I believed it at first. I shut down, cut myself off from school, from friends, from everything. I slept through the day, stayed up all night, barely ate. I thought maybe the silence would help. But instead, it left room for something else. The first time I heard his voice again was around 3 a.m. I hadn't been sleeping, just lying there, staring at the ceiling. The window was cracked open. The October wind drifted in. Are you there? The words were soft. From the hallway. I froze, not from fear, but from recognition. I knew that voice. I got up. Checked the hallway. Turned on all the lights. Nothing. Every door locked. Every window shut. No sound except my own breathing. The next night, the same. 3 a.m. Same voice. Are you there? I told myself it was stress. Grief. My mind trying to make sense of loss. But it kept happening. Every night. Same time. Same words. Then the footsteps started. Soft. Careful. Moving across the hall. Always stopping right outside my bedroom. Too quiet to be normal. Too real to ignore. I started locking my door at night. Playing music. Podcasts. White noise, anything to drown it out. But it always cut through. Always him. And then came the knocking. 3 soft taps. Then the voice again. Closer. Please, open the door. It didn't sound angry. Or dangerous. Just, sad. Like someone waiting outside in the cold, hoping you'll let them in. I told myself I wouldn't respond. I wouldn't play along. This was grief, trauma, sleep deprivation, anything but real. But it didn't stop. Then, it got worse. Then the objects started appearing. Things I hadn't seen in years. Things that were supposed to be sealed away in the attic, boxed up, forgotten. A small, worn-out toy dinosaur appeared on the windowsill. His favorite one. The one he used to carry with him everywhere. Then, a Capri Sun left on the kitchen table. Wild cherry. The exact flavor he begged Mom for when we were kids. Each day, something else. Each night, his voice. It felt like the past was trying to bleed into the present. Or like, something wanted me to remember. Last night, I found his old diary on my desk. I packed that diary in his hospital bag. I remember doing it. He never wrote in it much, but he liked having it nearby. It brought him peace. It never came back home with us. But now, it was here. Dusty. Familiar. Locked. I opened it. And on the very last page, just one sentence. Written in shaky, unmistakable handwriting. I found a place for you. That's when I knew. This wasn't memory. It wasn't grief. Something was reaching out. I tried everything. Left town. Stayed with friends. Booked hotel rooms. I even found a remote cabin, hours away from everything, no phone, no signal, nothing. But no matter where I went. At 3 a.m., I heard him. Even when I was wide awake. Even when I knew it wasn't possible. And lately, his voice has changed. A little more each night. The rhythm is off. The words feel strained. Like a voice that's being stretched, like something trying too hard to sound like him. Like a mask slowly slipping. And if it really is him, why does he sound less and less like Elias? Tonight is the anniversary. 1 year. And this time, he didn't wait for 3 a.m. He's early. I already hear the footsteps in the hallway. Slower than usual. More deliberate. Closer. Then the whisper. Please. Open the door. I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't. Every instinct is screaming don't. But something inside me is saying this time is different. That maybe, if I open it now, it will finally stop. That maybe I'll see him. One more time. That maybe. It won't stop unless I do. I'm standing now. I'm walking to the door. My hand is on the lock. And I'm going to open it. Did you enjoy the fear? Prove it. Like and subscribe before it finds you.